Welcome, everyone, to episode 43 of The Bunker Talk. We have a very special out-of-town guest that was here at the office before me, coffee in hand.
Cheers.
So, Aaron Gordon from Gordon Companies, all the way from New York, on a family vacation.
What's
and
up?
Just decided to come and hang out at the bunker.
I mean, listen, I've always dreamed about being on Bunker Talk. This is not sarcasm.
You gotta dream bigger, dude.
Because, first of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Working out this awesome weather this week. When we met, and I think that there's a good segue into talking about anything. First of all, you sent me one of the best messages I've ever gotten in my life. I don't know if you know that, but it's a good segue. And that is that we have an ongoing debate about marketing in general and family businesses and things like that. And the message that I'm referring to, I don't know if you remember, we met in Austin, Texas. You and I, we had spoken, I think, before, but just about a year later, my father passed away, and we were discussing there. We had a little bit of a debate, which I always love, the last name insurance agency or last name company and legacy and things like that, versus an epic name like the Bunker, or being on Bunker Talk, or developing that brand and branding and colored envelopes and all that jazz. And then I know that, I don't know if you remember, but when my father passed away, he sent me a message that said, you better not change the name of that agency now. So I feel like I accomplished something.
You won.
I won.
Yeah.
I had to lose my father. So I came.
No.
I actually came all the way here to the middle of nowhere, Florida.
Middle of nowhere.
Okay. I'm from New York. Florida consists of Orlando, Miami, maybe Tampa. I don't even know where I am. I actually know where we are, but
You're ridiculous.
Some of it is off the record, but I do know where we are.
You're ridiculous.
I have a client that lives right around from here.
Exactly.
So we can't drop a name, but
no.
I was like, this is crazy. We should go party there. But anyway.
I mean, we should have taken the Bunker Talk there.
I don't think we would have survived. That is not a bunker we want to be in. But anyway, yeah, so thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for taking time from your family. Oh, gosh. From your family to be here with me. Tell everybody about yourself, though. Tell everybody about you, Gordon Companies. Set the table for us.
So I am the second generation in a family business. We're in the insurance business, like you, trusted advisory space. We don't consider ourselves salespeople. We consider ourselves advisors. My father started the business. My father, Ciara, started the business on December 2nd of 1968. My mother came in the 80s. In the early 80s when they got married, and then I came in just about 20 years ago. I pride myself on being the guy who's trying to take an old school business, an old school industry, one of the things you and I have discussed, and kind of bring it to the next generation without losing that old school. So I like to say I'm a millennial insurance agent with an old soul, because I believe that. I also am the NY Risk Advisor, so trying to embrace that, a little bit of social media. But I believe that, and that's me. I'm the son of my mother is an immigrant, a post-Holocaust immigrant. She was born in a displaced persons camp. My father is I think he was a third generation American.
My father was an immigrant.
Yes. So, I mean, and so I'm trying to, and I'm also the host of the Keep Hustling podcast, which is very important. You were on one of our best episodes. Trying to build a brand, trying to have fun, and trying to support my family in a great way.
It's interesting because we talk about this all the time about how it's more prevalent now that we're living in this hybrid society when it comes to business. And I think our industry is probably one of the ones that are most affected in this old soul, new technique thing, right? Because insurance, how many people have tried the solely online model? I don't know. I can't say that it works.
I'll tell you.
You need both. My point is that your approach to it of keeping the old soul with the modern twist of the branding, I think is the sauce.
I think I appreciate that, but I think that it's like that in any business that's not commoditized. So I think Amazon also has the sauce, right? Nobody wants, it's actually awesome when you roll over and it tells you might be running low on toilet paper or something like that. Right. I don't need to, they don't actually particularly want to have a relationship with you or I, other than that we just keep buying things that we probably don't need most of the time. But in any business where you want to develop a relationship, where that relationship makes the client not only choose you, but refer you to their family and friends, they have to buy into your personality. I don't actually think, and you may disagree with this, but I actually think I'm hoping you agree. I don't think that most of the people who choose to work with us know what they're going to buy from us when they first meet us. Mm-hmm. Meaning they choose to work with us because they've seen the personality online, they've heard one of your incredible speeches or seen a clip from one of them or things like that. And then they say, okay, I know I need insurance. I know Ciara does insurance. I've heard of this place called The Bunker. I know that they help my friend. I don't even, a lot of times they come and they don't even, they think they come for the wrong reason. I mean, we end up telling them, oh, you might not need that. You might need something. Mm-hmm. So building that personality and showing that trust in the and then transactions, nobody wants to hand sign anything that they can sign digitally anymore.
Right.
Nobody wants to pay with a hand check except for my mother for anything. So that's the digital, right? Is like, but nobody's going to, if they really believe that they're trusting you with their life or their most valuable assets, most of the time, which is their business, nobody buys that online. By the way, everyone's tried.
Right. Well, and I think that, so I'm actually giving presentation about this, about like the personal branding and like this hybrid business landscape that we're living in, where businesses are going through this shift of, if you haven't digitized your reputation yet and you're not online, right, you're not winning as much.
I think that any person who believes that the average consumer is not going to do a simple Google search of you, and then it's going to be, okay, there's two people, and by that, I don't think the Google search, and I've taken a lot of heat for this, there's no way in our business that we're going to out SEO or outspend the big guns, either agents or companies.
Correct.
So anybody who's looking for insurance agent near me, maybe they'll get you, but I don't think that should be the driver of it. But if they look up The Bunker Insurance, The Bunker Risk, where someone mentioned something like The Bunker, oh, that name stuck with me, or Ciara, not Sierra, but Ciara, like, meaning those, and they could also Google the next person, and you have a personality like, hey, I like that lady. If I have to purchase insurance from someone.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's if I have to do it, I might as well do it from someone I like. So, have you heard of Rory Vaden?
No.
Okay. So he owns Brand Builders, I believe it's called. And he helped Sarah Blakely, Spanx lady, CEO of Spanx. He's working with Ed Milet. They just released a really, really great podcast on Ed Milet's show. But he did a study where he asked the question to 1,000 Americans of how important do you think a personal brand is in these professions? And the highest one, which actually kind of shocked me, was a doctor. 61% of people said they want their doctor to have a personal brand, which I've never really thought about that. And I'm in that space a lot. And I don't know that I don't know. I mean, I've never like looked up my doctor. I just, if I can get an appointment, I'm happy to get an appointment.
Can I challenge that, by the way? Who wants their doctor to have a personal brand?
I mean, 61% of them.
When I'm saying, when you see the famous doctors on Instagram, nice tidbit, not sure I want to be in their office.
I agree. It shocked me. But so is your doctor, your employer, your attorney, two other people, insurance agents. 53% of the population wants their insurance agent to have a personal brand. And so the point of the study is showing that the buying behaviors of the generations that are coming up, the higher the level of trust that the profession has, or the higher the level of requirement of trust that the profession has, the more important the personal brand is.
I also think that and we've discussed this also, a lot of the content that the personal brand, not the business brand, puts out has nothing to do with insurance.
Correct. Oh,
and
nothing.
I think that because if it's about insurance, people are just going to swipe by it. My goal, people ask me, what is your marketing goal? My personal brand goal is that when people hear the word insurance, they think of me. Not they see a piece of content about auto insurance and therefore they think that insurance is now more important in their lives and therefore they're going to call me. Right. I don't think that'll ever work. It would be nice if it did, but that's why I mix in some insurance content. But my point is, you see this guy or this lady all the time on social media. You like their vibe. You like their brand. You like what they represent. Every once in a while you trick in insurance.
Right.
Therefore, when the person hears the word, I have said before, the worst possible thing that you could do for me, I mean, the thing that pains me the most in marketing is when someone says, oh, I didn't know you did that. I I just started a business. I just bought a home, and I didn't know you could insure that. Tell me you went with someone else. Tell me you went with online, because you could do it. Say anything else you want. Right. I just bought a policy. I can't believe I didn't think of you. That's like knife to the heart.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's this concept of, and I agree with you on the insurance piece. The insurance piece is like, my formula is, there's actually a formula for me. 60% of it is like thought leadership stuff of like my opinions, my expertise, but it's not about insurance. I think the mistake that insurance agents also make is that they are afraid to talk about their business like they're running a business. So do you know who Michael Cruz is?
Yes.
He does a phenomenal job with his content of releasing content about being a business owner. For example, his series on like why he loves the Microsoft ecosystem. My God, it's like 20 videos long, just educating businesses about the power of the Microsoft ecosystem, right? I think that's genius because, like you said, business, like, I think that our industry does a really bad job of just talking about being business owners, right? About like the challenges with hiring. And I think our generation is changing that, where we're like, hey, we're in business and we're a for-profit business. We're allowed to grow a business and make money. And here are the challenges that we have as an insurance agency.
I find it amazing that everybody slams us on rates. Mm-hmm. And it's obviously I don't find that amazing because everyone wants to save money. The irony is, I mean, you're here, so obviously Florida is much different than New York, but I've said it multiple times publicly, this California thing, it's going to be a bloodbath for all of us.
Yep.
Except for the fact, and I am happy that this is on the record, and I will say this, I've said this 100 times in the last 6 weeks, except for us, because there's two things that have happened. So obviously, I hate the fact that people are suffering. I hate the fact that people have lost their homes. I hate the fact that people have lost their businesses, and I don't want that to happen. But there's two things that people learned. Number one, your insurance is really important. Mm-hmm. Really important. And the interesting thing is, and there was this narrative going on, and I never get involved in these, spats on social media because I just don't believe in it, except for this. Don't tell me that your 100-year-old mother's insurance was canceled as the flames were barreling towards her home. No, I'm not going to accept that. You could say the insurance companies are savages because they increased her rates, or your business, you couldn't get the right insurance because they increased it, but you decided to do that. Mm-hmm. Now, it might not be right. There might not need to be regulation. It might be too expensive. Same thing here in Florida, homeowners. But the insurance company didn't see the flames coming right towards your house.
I agree.
That's one. The second thing is, I don't hide behind the fact that when rates increase, we get paid on commission, and therefore our commission increases. So we're in this weird space because when you talk about it from a branding perspective, your insurance goes up by 20%, my income goes up by 20% if you're my customer. So do I want your rates to increase? Yes and no, because I want there to be a healthy ecosystem. But I'm also a business owner. Mm-hmm. And by the way, my insurance increased too.
Right.
And my expenses increase. So I'm in the same boat. It's not like a doctor where you go, and by the way, doctors should be very well paid. Nobody likes to talk about their businesses. Mm-hmm. Why is it that medical practices and insurance agencies are like in the top 5 of most acquired businesses by like hedge funds and investment banks in the last 20 years? I think we're doing something right. Mm-hmm. Look, I just made us into, we just went to medical school. Like we're basically saving lives here.
We're doctors.
We're basically doctors. Like call me for a prescription. I got you at this point.
I got a couple text messages and messages too about this California thing and like, the State Farm canceling all these policies. No, State Farm gave notice. And just because 90,000 homeowners were canceled, it doesn't mean that they were uninsured at the time of the fire. It just means they weren't insured by State Farm.
Can I also say something crazy? Who was right?
With what?
The insurance companies. I mean, who was right about the state of California right now? Now, I hate to say that. And I said this, I did a webinar. Like, I hate to be that guy. And I know that we're in Florida, we're in the bunker, we're talking about but everybody should think about that. It's the same thing here with hurricanes. Like, if you have an insurance company or smart people or people who claim to be smart, that remember, if somebody else can do it cheaper, and this goes for insurance or anything else, the same product, deliver the same service for cheaper, they're not going to be around. But you know what else is they're not going to be around? If they deliver a product that they shouldn't be delivering, i.e. an insurance policy that nobody else is willing to write because everyone else has
already
figured
figured
out that this is a ticking time bomb and nobody else is willing to write it. And they come in and they say, oh, we're going to write it for 20% less than the other guy. They're going to get a lot of market share and then they'll be bankrupt.
And then they're going to be gone.
So,
yeah, I agree. And I know, and well, you know, we don't need to get into the whole media thing, but it was just obviously the way it's worded, the way it's
and by the way, just to get into personal brand there, I think one of the most important things that people could do is take pride in what they're doing and in their brand. Meaning, no business is perfect. Nobody's perfect in what they do. But like, yeah, this is what I do to support my family. It's what I do to continue my family's legacy. Mm-hmm. But I like it and I get to help people. And so therefore, if you're going to come at me, like my brand should show the great things about what we do. And it should be anything, by the way. Like roofers, get out there. Build a personal brand. You know why? Because when somebody's roof is in bad shape, you're a superhero.
A hero. Right,
you literally should wear a cape. If there's a hole in my roof, God forbid, and I call you and you come in and you solve my problem, or by the way, you inspect my roof and show me that like the next big storm I'm gonna have a problem, you're a hero. Right. That plumber that shows up in the middle of the night, again, people are not gonna say that it's like the neurosurgeon, but you know what? In that moment of crisis, and the same thing with insurance.
I agree.
I don't know about dog walkers. No, I'm just kidding. I think dog walkers are.
Listen, in New York, they make a lot of money.
That's it.
Listen, talk to me about running a legacy business. What is that like? What are the challenges? What are the advantages?
That's a loaded emotional question.
I know. I love to pry.
I think that one of the privileges that you and I have, not just being in the insurance industry, is that and I really don't want to get into politics. Pride, family pride, and wanting to continue that in your own way is something that is like so incredible. In that we know the statistics on people who grow up without parental figures in their life. And that's unfortunate when that happens to people. But how many people who have parents don't appreciate them? How many people's parents may or may not do the right thing? And again, I don't think we discussed before, like I have 5 little kids. I'm here on my vacation. I basically came here for a nap and I got stuck in front of a camera. But but the that's just a way for me not to cry when I talk about my dad. But so I think realizing that, let me say this, and I hope my mother listens to this and she will agree. The first 5 years, yowza.
Tough.
Yowza. Woo! Like we were talking about like technology and personal brands, like it was tough. But I started from the bottom. I realized at the beginning, like that was it. If I was going to come into this business, this is how this was going to go. I hadn't touched a phone for like the first 3 summers.
You had to pay your dues.
And there's that piece of it, and there's learning the business, and there's that, but there's also like my father literally lost his mother when he was 7 years old, was on the street at 16, starting the insurance business at 18. I mentioned that my mother, she should live and be well, born in a displaced persons camp, came over on a boat. Her parents didn't speak the language, ended up in Syracuse, New York. Like, you know, my mother was that quote unquote second generation in that my father built, but it wasn't easy. And her parents barely spoke the language. Had to go to college and things like that. Right. My continuing, we had 2 choices, right? It's obviously we diverged from things that they did, but like continuing that legacy, and I've doubled down on it. And I say that one of the scariest things, but greatest things about being in a family is when someone says, oh, you're Goldie's son. You're David's son. And it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. People ask me about independence or creating my own, you know. And that's, by the way, what I love about the personal brand is like, obviously I have limitations because it's a family business, because my parents built it and did all these things of like, I'm not going to do any crazy things. Sure. Like I've said, I will not skydive and eat a banana for the sake of social media. I don't know why I came up with that, but that's been my thing. Like I feel like I'm going to be like hanging in midair, like eating a banana. No. But like, I hope my kids look at me the way I look at my parents. And it's hard to see in the beginning. It is. It is hard. And I'm not talking about like going to the first meeting with my dad in a big conference room and he tells me to make everyone coffee. Like obviously that was a gimmick. It was cute. It was funny. He told me to keep my mouth shut. The only time I keep my mouth shut was like when I was like, wait, I've outshot my, I'm just going to stand over here. Sir, would you like a refill of your coffee? But like, we had disagreements. I remember, and let me say this about legacy. And I hope that those who are listening don't have to have these experiences for a very, very long time. One of my mentors was the CEO of an insurance company. Told me about the last conversation he had with my father. And I was like 90% confident in what I'm about to say, and then put this over the top. And I think that this is true for my siblings as well, but we're just talking about from a business and personal perspective. When my father passed away, I know he was proud of me. Mm-hmm. And if you were around me in those high school years,
tough.
Stealing the car during the middle of a snowstorm?
Yeah.
Not sure. Mm-hmm. But like, it makes it all worth it.
I mean, what else is there?
Makes it all worth it.
Right.
And by the way, I get to make a good living.
All right.
I wasn't handed, tens of millions of dollars in real estate that I just can watch appreciate. I work, I hustle, I'm willing to do that. But let me tell you this. And I think this is a little bit different from us, between the two of us, you and I, because you kind of also started something. I've never in my life, thankfully, and I hope it continues forever, I've never actually thought about making payroll. Mm-hmm. Meaning I've thought about what happens the next time. What happens with the fact that most of my clients were my parents' clients, and therefore they're in their 70s and 80s, and their businesses are older, and I need to work on that transition. But never in my life, and by the way, I was lucky in the first 10 years of my business, or 15 years of working with my parents, the thought never entered my mind. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, as I'm taking more of a role and looking at the numbers, looking at the book, I think about that. But don't I owe a debt of gratitude to that? Mm-hmm. If nothing else, by the way, forget about everything else I got as a kid. Mm-hmm. I have a business that obviously I got to work hard in to continue it. But like, I got a few months of payroll in the bank without even bringing any of it. Right. So like in a business that's revenue generating, that's recurring income, recurring revenue, and all that kind of stuff, retention rates of 98%. Mm-hmm. So
I always say that I'm very, very, very fortunate to have a childhood that I don't need therapy from. I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed.
And to realize that, by the way.
Right. Absolutely. And I am also very fortunate, like you're saying, to, as an adult, spend more time with my parents than the average adult gets, right? We've worked together. My gosh, the year after I graduated high school, since 2002. I've literally spent.
You're not that old.
I've spent every single day with my parents in some capacity, right? And so like, and they live down the street. Like my mom made me lunch yesterday. I went to go eat lunch at her house, So like,
hello.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's 8:30. When does breakfast arrive?
But that, and I remember too, it was so hard at the beginning, and I was going to the Art Institute for Interior Design. The last thing I wanted to do was insurance. And I remember that my dad was like, "Look, we need you. Like, we can't afford to continue to pay for school. We'll send you back once this business takes off." Took money out of their 401k, started a business, never owned a business, never sold a piece of insurance. And when we were finally doing well, he was like, "Well," I was like, "Well, I want to go back to school." Right. And so he sat me down. He was like, "Ciara, no doubt that you can do interior design. There's no doubt. But this lifestyle of insurance is something realistic for you. You were not raised in that circle, in that, social circle of interior designers. So you're going to have additional barriers to get into that space." I'm not saying he was always supportive. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm sure you can do it. But this is a reliable income that it's almost predictable. You can run this for the rest of your life. This is a career. This isn't just like a business venture that I decided to go on. And thankfully, to your point, I've always listened to him. Like, they've always given me the best advice. I'm very, very fortunate. And so when we sold in 2018, I was like, "Well, I guess I'm going to go get a job." And he was like, "Well, no, you gave me your youth, your working years where it would have been for you and building your career. You gave them to me. So we're going to flip the script. And then I'm going to help you." And it's and here we are 5 years later.
You know what's sick? You know what's awesome? And I don't, correct me if I'm wrong about this, about this particular fact, but like your father didn't have to do that.
No, not at all.
I mean, in the second time. And I had
I would not have been upset. I would have gone and go get a job.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, what's cool is, and mine was a little bit different, that my father was older when I was born. My father was almost 50 when I was born. So I have my oldest sibling, he's 18 years older than me, or 19 years older than me. 18, I think. Whatever. Adam, I think it's 18. It might be 19. You're not going to listen to this anyway.
Adam, don't get mad.
Yeah. And he tried to come into the business.
I was just going to ask you about that, about like, how come you...
So I can get into all of them, but this is a fascinating story in that so my mother was my father's second wife. Mm-hmm. So I don't call two of my siblings half siblings. I don't believe in that garbage. But,
right.
But my brother, who's my mother, is not. Mm-hmm. We don't share a mother. My oldest brother, my sister, and he tried to come into the business fresh out of college. And it didn't work for whatever reason, and I think that he made the right choice, and he's amazing. And one day, by the way, he does influencer marketing. So like my dream is to one day like be him call me, like talk about personal brand, like, hey, like I know I'm the cool brother, but like I think I have a brand that I want to hook you up with, and like I want you to like I want you to be my client. I think that'll be awesome.
Adam, listen, call me first.
That's all right.
Let's continue this rivalry.
Ciara, not Ciara. But anyway, the interesting part of that, if like when I really dug into it, and I think he might agree partially, but this is just my own narrative, is that my father and my mother, who were running the business, they had little kids at home. So they were in build business, worry about mortgages and college and all this stuff and taking care of little kids and all that and medical bills and yada, 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 yada. When I came in the business, and by the way, you talk about building a great insurance agency, my father literally said to me, like, I can sell this thing tomorrow. And that wasn't a pressure thing. I love it. It's the only thing I've ever known. My father had no hobbies. Insurance was his hobby. But after the hardcore education years of like the first 2 or 3 years, it was like, okay, what do you want to do? Now, I'm not going to let you mess up my business. No, that's not going to happen. You're not going to mess with my reputation. You're not going to change my service model. You're not going to all of a sudden tell people to call an 800 number. That's not going to happen. But like, tell me about your crazy insurance idea. Hey, I'll go with you to this meeting. Sure. Like, let's do this. Or you want to chase on that prospect, or you want to become this? Like, let's do it. Let me help you build that, because I don't really need another dollar. Mm-hmm. By the way, amazing thing. You never need to retire from this business. You never really need, like, 401ks are great, but like this, you and I, like, you have a 401k. Like, you have 401k. Mm-hmm. Some people say it's brick and mortar. Like, you have 401k. In that. And so, but it knowing, when you talk about legacy, it's like, hold on. So now your father decided to basically go back to work to help you build this business. Mm-hmm. And my parents stayed in work. My mother still works full time. I think she loves it, but like also to help me continue this thing. Mm-hmm. My father did it literally till a week before he passed away. He was sending emails 2 days, 3 days before he passed away. How can I not take pride in that? How can I not push that forward? It's not just because my name's on the door. I know we've had that conversation. We need to get, but you know what I'm saying? Like, in the end of the day, even though it's called debunker, like, you're Ciara, second generation. Mm-hmm. Insurance. Took your family from nothing, mm-hmm. from your parents, from literally the nothing to, you know what I mean?
Can I tell you that yesterday we were eating lunch at my parents' house, and my brother works for Gallagher.
No, I don't want
Edit
this out. I'm just kidding.
He worked for a smaller agency that got bought recently by Gallagher. And so
call me when you're not gonna pizza up, baby.
It's so funny because he's we always have, my dad gave us both this opportunity, right? And he never really worked with us. And then when we went to go sell, he was like, oh, I think I'm going to give this insurance thing a try. And we're like, well, we're selling. So go learn. And we were happy. Go learn somewhere else, because just the way we do it, it's not, there's a million ways to do this.
By the way, I wish that I worked at a big, people ask me, do you wish there was one thing that was in, because my father was a little bit older when I started, and you know, my mother's already like, I wish I would have like gone to one of even the big carriers. Mm-hmm. And give them like 2 or 3 years.
I never worked in corporate ever, not just in my lifetime. So I think
so
it would.
Good though, right?
I think
so good to never work, but it's so good to never work in corporate. Right?
It is, but I think I would have gotten some of the good stuff. I would have gotten some of the good stuff. But we were talking about this yesterday, and my dad told me when he told us the biggest regret of my life was starting this at 49. The biggest regret. He said, because his dad came to this country he came when he was 14. So I don't know how old his dad would have been at the time. But when he came to this country, he walked into a bank, asked for a loan to start a tow truck company, and got $600 on a handshake. Didn't speak the language, could barely read. Got the loan, started a business. And my dad, he's telling us yesterday, because he's always talking about it from this perspective. He goes, I got so wrapped up in the American dream that I got a company car, I got a computer, and my dad kept telling me they own your soul for the price tag of a car payment. And my dad didn't see it that way. No, I made it. I've made it. And so he was like, if I would have listened to him and started in my 20s, in anything, in the tow truck business, he passed away. It ended up basically dissolving. Like, it was...
It's great business, by the way.
Great business. But my dad was just so, like, the corporate life was like a status symbol, right? And so it's so funny because he's just like, the biggest gift you can give yourself is this. It's entrepreneurship.
And I want to just tell you something about legacy. Some people talk the talk, some people walk the walk. Mm-hmm. I have a friend, and this is not a knock, because I just want to be clear. My business is not for sale. Mm-hmm. I have people who knock on my door every day, as I'm sure you do. Mm-hmm. As you said, your brother worked for an agency that was bought. But there is a certain figure, which is a very large sum of money, probably larger, like real stupid.
Yeah.
That if somebody came, it's okay. And my father and I used to talk about this all the time. It's good. It's 500 mil, by the way. I'm not even joking.
Write the check.
I'm not even joking. So anyone who wants to come, we coming along for the ride?
Oh, okay. You better.
500 mil, we're in. Yeah, exactly. We're in. But it's like,
I'll throw the bunker in for that.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, we just formed a joint venture, but it's 500 mil.
500 mil.
It's actually, It's 500 mil and $1 because she's not coming in on my deal for free. But there was a big agency, family agency, multi-generational, got a huge numbers. I don't knock it, but I just want to be clear. Was the right move. Mm-hmm. Huge number. Huge. 3 years and 1 day later, the 3 kids leave. Big corporate wasn't for them. What happens to that legacy? What does that legacy become? Now, that legacy the family legacy can then become philanthropy and giving back and things like that. Because again, huge number. But I imagine the father who made the ultimate decision to sell. Obviously, the family is now set for multiple generations.
Sure. So the legacy is there.
When the kids come and say that this is not what we signed up for, quote unquote. Like, again, look, this is part of the decision. Like, we might not stay. We're all taking the money.
That happens often, actually.
100%. So I just, look at our friends. Our friends are all we have an amazing group of insurance agents. We were just talking about how we met in Austin. We got to bring that conference back. We're coming for you, Bradley Flowers. You better make that conference happen. But like everybody's either continuing a legacy, but wants to build a legacy. I've never met the people who at least we choose to really be friends with. Mm-hmm. No one really wants a 100,000 employee, 2 corporate jet. I mean, it would be nice to have a jet.
Listen, don't get me wrong. You know
what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? Like, and so then what are you building? You're building financial stability, financial freedom, legacy, recurring revenue, all of that. But like, again, you want people to say bunker, Ciara, bunker, Ciara. Like, you don't want it to be bunker is insurance and Ciara's over there. It's the same thing with personal brand. Personal brand is legacy. And like, I can tell you a billion stories about literally just like people who said to you, I like, your father I loved. There's a line someone said to me. You, I like, your father I loved.
Honestly, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah. I had there was a guy, was the first client that my father started our business with. Still our client. My father passed away 5 generations. And so he told me afterwards, the principal, who's now the 4th generation principal because his kids worked there, maybe, 4th. I guess we're 6 now because his grandkids work there, but said, you know what the hardest thing for me about your father passing away is? And I'm like, oh, tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me the hard thing about my father passed away. Let's talk about this. My father, my best friend, my mentor, everything. He's like, when I learned to drive a car, when I was 16 years old, the first thing my father said to me is, anything happens, you call David Gordon. My entire personal and professional life has been linked to a safety. And the guy's like 70-something years old. Has been linked to that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to answer the phone when he calls with a stupid question. Right. I'm not going to do the old school thing on that. So I don't know.
Well, that's back to, I mean, it's full circle. This thing is falling back, full circle here is that it's that.
You keep talking. I'm going to fix the mic.
It's that it's old school and new, right? Like you got to be there for the old. We're living in that space where there's still people that want that type of service and need it and deserve it. You just have to do both. And I think that that's kind of a thing. This is a whole thing. Listen, Aaron comes here to Florida during his nap. He fixes my life, gets me a battery pack, fixes my mic. You good? Thank you. I appreciate you.
That was just an awesome piece of social media content, guys. This is a full, by the way, I just want you to know, call Gordon Companies and we'll come and fix your tech. The bunker can't even get their tech right.
I know. I'm telling you, man.
Do you want an insurance agent who can't even figure out their own microphone, or do you want I'm not knocking on the bunker, but I think we've established over here that the last name agency is not a bad situation. It's not a bad place to be at this point. We can at least get a microphone that works.
Dang, dude.
No, but
coming for me hard.
You asked about my siblings, and I think that I just want to say something about siblings and family businesses, and I think that it's important to know. I don't think my siblings chose not to be in the business. Mm-hmm. I don't think that people who choose either because it's not their passion or it's not for them, that I don't think that people who choose not to continue a family business are saying I don't care about my parents' legacy. Mm-hmm. I just want to be clear about that. I don't think that it's but those who choose to do what we do and, go into a family business and then break out, and you have to be conscious of that. Meaning you could have gone into interior design. Nobody would have knocked you for that. And that doesn't mean that you weren't grateful for what your parents had done. Mm-hmm. That's, you know what I mean? I don't think that it's I'm an identical twin. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm. I did. Yeah.
So
he ran the New York City Marathon. You told me.
God, why'd you have to do that?
Oh,
I actually hope he doesn't listen to this. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to send it to him.
Yeah. But my brother runs, he's the chief operating officer of a huge Jewish nonprofit. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Oh.
My older brother, my other brother, Adam, we mentioned Adam. Hello.
Adam. Hi,
Influencer
Adam.
Marketing. My sister,
Adam, call me, not him.
My sister, Rachel, an amazing also, career of support and things like that. Amazing. We have amazing family. You would love to just hang out like Gordon family.
I would love that.
Family gatherings. You have no idea. But and my older brother, Ben, has built a real estate business with another small family business, not in ours. But I mean, the funny part is he literally worked in the same small company for over 20 years. So those are not bad things. Mm-mm. None of those things are, you look at the Gordon family hustle, nobody is sitting.
They're all hustling.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody, and it's not a negative of those who didn't choose to go into the family business or those who didn't work in the family business or those who didn't, whatever. By the way, it was a risk. Huge risk in the beginning. What if it didn't work? What if I tell people all the time, what if my father used to say, for 50 years, they have been saying that our business is going to die, that small independent agencies are going to be the thing of the past, that the internet is going to replace us. They have been saying, now, by the way, those theys are dead.
Right.
And by the way, their businesses are dead. But what if they were right? What if those were right and the risk that you and I took to go into this life of insurance disappeared? Amazon and Google figured it out from the first day. They were literally the first AI robot was an insurance thing, which is what they said it was going to be. So we took a little risk too, but giving up that graduate school,
sure,
giving up that career, because when you go into corporate, one of the advantages of corporate is that it's very easy to get another job.
Right.
Assuming you're a good person, good work ethic,
yeah.
that.
Yeah, the resume follows. Yeah. I have two questions for you. Can you talk about modernizing a legacy business as far as process?
Yeah.
How have you done that, if at all?
Yeah. So it's a great question. What I have said is, let's keep the principles of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Service, no 800 number. People are shocked when we answer the phone. You'll get my cell phone number. By the way, if you're in a service business, I will just say this. Give people your cell phone number. If you don't want to give them your cell phone number, create a Google Voice number. It will be green. That's the only problem. Just keep that to yourself, Ciara. We're just going to keep the green to yourself. It will be green. It's fine. They haven't figured that out yet. Get a second cell phone, which is not expensive. The average person doesn't abuse it, yet they love the idea.
Right. They just like the idea that you're accessible, but I agree, the average consumer does not.
And guess what? The abusers are going to abuse you during the workday. So
correct. They're going to They're going to be sending you emails and
then asking you why they send it at 2 a.m. and asking why you didn't respond by 7. So it doesn't matter. Meaning,
right.
So first of all, get your cell phone out there. Like, come on, it's 2025. Like, let's get away from that. But what were the service models that we were built on, and then how should technology enhance those? So I brought up e-signature before, but a great one is like, we didn't take digital payments. And I will say, one of the greatest prophetic moments I had in my life, we started taking electronic payments in our insurance agency on February the 1st, 2020. And then everything shut down, right? So, and now if I get 10 checks a quarter, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I used to get 10 checks a week.
Yeah.
So, so it's something like that. Like, how can I say, how does the modern person want to do business but not give up on our service model? You're still going to hear from me. I'm still going to call you. We're still going to finalize your renewal in person or on the phone or on a Zoom. Mm-hmm. But then when it comes to executing that, you don't want to send me a check. You actually, by the way, don't want to even go on Chase and send me a bill pay. You want me to make it easy. I'm going to send you a link. You're going to click on the link. You can deal with it. And by the way, if you want to send me a check, you can too. eDocs is another great example. Like, I'm going to offer you, and nobody wants to sign paper. Nobody. So that doesn't mean that I'm not going to talk to you and just send you an email that says, by the way, your insurance renews tomorrow. If you want to keep your insurance, blah, 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 blah. And that's not service. Claim process. You're going to get email follow-ups from me. I'm going to let you text me. You could text me pictures. You don't think that that's a modernization, but that is a modernization.
Absolutely.
My father had a gimmick. You're going to love this. My father's had a bunch of insurance gimmicks. I don't even think I've discussed this one more. I've spoken a lot about smoke detectors, but this is a great one. He had a thing where early on when this was invented, he would send his, like they had these, in auto insurance, they had these like auto ID card holders, which are like, if you think about like the most ridiculous thing ever, because by the way, your insurance auto ID card should not be kept in your car. Because if someone steals it, they can just grab your ID card and your registration, which is always in the glove box. Risk management 101, keep it in your pocket, your wallet, or on your phone. But anyway, and you remember those like disposable cameras? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So he sent those to all of his auto clients and said, leave this in your car. If you have a claim,
genius.
Take pictures.
Genius.
Take pictures.
So early.
Take pictures. Send them to me. Now, he didn't think that was modern. And he like, oh my God, you're modernizing the industry. You're getting rid of this. Why are people texting? I'm like, Dad, you OG'd that.
Right.
Like now, so what's the next step of that? The next step is let's be accessible. My father used to say availability, affability, and ability in that order. Ability is the lowest on the totem pole. Availability is the highest. So it's things like that. It's how do we, certificates of insurance, how do we make your life easier? By the way, if you want to call, if you want to fax, if you want to do all those things, I'm not taking that away from you.
Right.
Like can I tell you my best modernizations?
Yes.
You're going to love this. So our largest commercial client at the time, we get a new management system. They're on monthly installments. And I go to my mother and I sort of like, we used to do like print out each monthly invoice, mail it to people with a return envelope. And there was a ledger card and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. It was crazy. And like we get the system. I'm like, hey, Mom, look, check this out. Look, here's 10 invoices. Look, and they're going to generate. And when it generates, it's going to automatically print us a copy to the printer. We're going to wake up in the morning. Bam, it's going to be there. Bam, the client's going to get an email. By the way, I could send you a copy or me a copy so we know that we're going to get a copy of that email that goes to the client. Send in the reminder 30 days in advance. Bam, 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 bam. Great. So she's telling us the whole thing. Oh, this is amazing. Listen, but I think we should do with this particular client. Maybe we should just generate them all now, send them one, and then we could send them the reminders. But like, I feel like the guy's going to want to see like the whole stack. This is the thing. Hey, by the way, here, look, instead of sending you one invoice with a bunch of things on it, we're sending you 10 separate invoices. You see when it's due, this and that, this and that. The guy calls my mother and goes, I love your new system. This is like amazing. Like guys accounting, like QuickBooks is perfect for me. Can I just ask you one question? Every month you used to mail me the invoice. You would send me in the envelope. You sent me the return envelope pre-stamped. So I just had to write a check and stick it in the mail. Am I not getting those envelopes anymore? And you're talking about like a real size commercial client. Like at the time, our largest commercial client.
Yeah.
Not a joke.
Like 6 figures.
And my mother's like, Aaron, get in here right now.
Oh, she won.
Send Paul 10. I'm like, Mom, guess what? I'm going to send him 20.
Yeah. Just send him a book of stamps.
44. No, I took a big envelope. I took a bunch of these yellows, there's like stamped them and sent them. I'm like, okay, if he doesn't use them, fine. Let him use the stamps elsewhere. And it's funny, and that's fine.
But the thing is that it speaks to the level of service. It speaks to what people care. And I think even more now, bringing this full circle, this hybrid business that we're living in. There's people, especially in an agency like yours or in a business like yours, where generationally you've got a wide spread. You have to be flexible, and you can't neglect those things that have been growing your business for decades. I was going to say centuries, for decades, right? You just can't.
Can I tell you another sick, interesting quirk about these things? First of all, I think when you modernize, you never know what's actually going to make people tick. And so you got to, one of the most important things with evolving business in general.
Like that, you didn't think that was going to be a thing.
Right. But I'm saying, meaning, oh, this is great, this is not great. Like just like anything in service, keep your ear,
Mm-hmm.
We launched an app like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not going to mention which one because there's no free sponsorships in my life. So I didn't mention who our payment platform is. By the way, if you want to sponsor The Bunker or sponsor Keep Hustling, and you're listening to this, if you're my payment platform or you're my app, I will fly back down here. We'll do another episode and we'll mention you. Or we'll edit in the front. Fine? How about this?
Okay.
We'll re-edit. We'll put an ad in the middle here if you want to sponsor. We had the like by far the biggest open rate of the emails to download the app. Why? This was a shocking revelation. I spent hours thinking about this, and I figured out that my parents had built a business where when your insurance agent reached out to you, you open the email.
They're aware of you.
People are aware that if I'm reaching out to them, it's serious.
It's something.
It's not life-threatening. It's serious.
Right.
Therefore, when I told people that they should download an app, they clicked on it. Which is it's mind-boggling. I had 85-year-olds telling me, oh, it took me to this thing. I didn't even know that my iPhone had an app store. And I got the iPhone so that my kids could FaceTime. And I just figured out FaceTiming and using the phone. I don't even know what an app is. And yet they were trying to download it. Which obviously was not the purpose of the app. But the point I'm making is like...
But it serves to the point of weight that... Not even weight. Like authority that Gordon Companies has
100%.
In their client
And that's
base.
the best legacy, and that's the best way to evolve is to realize that you can't get rid of that. Right. You can't throw that out.
Well,
and the bunker's the same way.
And that's why it's $500 trillion to buy you.
That's the $500 million and $1. And by the way, the other thing is, if you develop a loyal client base, they'll be honest with you about when something's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we switched e-signature platforms because the one that we were using just was terrible, and we were getting bad feedback. And it wasn't yelling. It was like, I just want you to know this is painful. I love you, but this is the worst part about working with you. Okay, I'm going to switch that, obviously. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's one of the things. I think the other thing is that reinforcing when you modernize, reinforcing to the clients that actually pay your bills, those that have been there for the last 20 or 30 years, that nothing is changing.
That you're the same. Right. That's super important.
If you want me to print out your policy and mail it to you,
we will still do
I will do that.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen by default. If you want me to default it, by the way,
sure,
I will flag your account. Mm-hmm. We will print it and we will send it to you. And a lot of people don't believe that. And I think one of the best things that people can do, they say in family businesses, unfortunately, a lot of them fail, is reinforce that and believe that. Mm-hmm. When I realized that all my fun projects and my social media that my mother still doesn't believe in and that my father didn't believe in and all that stuff, that's fun and it's cute. And I believe in it. I think that it's going to work. But that has yet to pay a single dollar of my salary. Mm-hmm. That has yet to pay a single dollar towards my mortgage payment. Mm-hmm. Therefore, the people that do pay it are those real, true, loyal legacy customers. And they've earned the right to receive the service in the way that they want.
Right.
I can try it. But again, if you call me and say, every year, I have a guy. Every year, I know what's happening. It happens in July. I come into your office. I review the policies. I bring a check. You tell me how much I owe, and I write the check on the spot. Dude, I'm renting a conference room. We're doing it. I'll get you lunch. Mm-hmm. We can do coffee. That's never going away. Is it a little weird? Sure. Is it a little quirky? Fine. That's the way you've done it.
That's the way they've done it.
My mother and I say we have like the same annual people that call. We have people that call us and they say, should I be making any changes? Yeah, we outlined what we recommended. Okay, so I should do it? Yeah, no problem. I just want to hear your voice. Great. Here's my cell. Call me anytime. So that's what I would say.
What is the best piece of business advice you've ever received that you can give someone starting a business?
Do well by doing good. That was my father's. That was an easy one. That was my father's line. Do well by doing good. He believed it, and you can do really well by doing good. And most importantly, and this goes with it, but I've said this a lot since my father passed away. I remember my first summer working in the business. I made a grave mistake. I walked into my father's office and I said, I have an ethical question. And my father looks at me. He goes, it was like super yelling. He like didn't yell. He was the non-yelling at business type, which is the worst type of Jewish guilt. But he's like, he's like, in our business, there's no such thing as an ethical question. If it's a question, it's not ethical. So I think, and that's do well by doing good. Mm-hmm. And I think anybody, and with that, by the way, take pride in what you're doing. Is there anything better than when you meet someone? And I told you I just moved houses, and like, I look at the plumbing in the boiler room, and like the utility room of my house, and I'm like, this is a masterpiece. And I said that to the plumber. I'm like, dude, this is a masterpiece. Like, I want to know what everything does. Look at this, and it's clean and it's organized. And like, this is a masterpiece. And how many people say like plumbers? Right. Plumbers. Like, like, and I'm not like the trades. Take pride in what you do, and that's what it's about. So, I think if you take pride in what you do and do things the right way, you will see success. Mm-hmm. You will see, and don't be afraid to try things. Like, look at this. We're on a podcast. Like,
I love that.
Our fathers sitting together 20 years ago. OMG,
how good would that have been?
They would have crushed the idea of a whatever. But my father would have loved that I came here on vacation. So he would love that. So
I love that. Tell everybody where they can find you.
NY Risk Advisor. NY Risk Advisor, all platforms. Keep Hustling podcast. The Keep Hustling podcast comes out every Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you connect with me on social, NY Risk Advisor on all the platforms. I'm huge on LinkedIn, Instagram, things like that. I love to chat with you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for making time for me. You rock. I appreciate you coming to visit us.
The bunker.